Developing right now on Morning News Now, a critical vote on Capitol Hill. Today, House lawmakers set to decide on a bill to reopen the government while the funding fight continues over the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. Meanwhile, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem announcing federal officers in Minneapolis will be given body cameras effective immediately in the wake of those two deadly shootings during immigration raids in the city.
Well, it wasn't my decision. I leave it to her. They generally tend to be good for law enforcement because people can't lie about what's happening. If he wants to do that, I'm okay with it.
Plus, former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton agreeing to testify in the House's investigation into Jeffrey Epstein after previously refusing to appear. We'll take you to Washington. Also developing an urgent search underway in Arizona for the mother of our NBC News colleague, Savannah Guthrie, who authorities say was taken from her home against her will. We will have the latest from investigators. Plus, Mother Nature showing no mercy on parts of the South and the East Coast. We are tracking another frigid day, including the areas that could feel record lows. And Olympic excitement. That's right, the Winter Games now just 3 days away. We will take you to Milan, where the final preparations are underway. And our own Angie Lassman hits the slopes with Olympic snowboarder Maddie Shafrick as she opens up about becoming one of the newest athletes on Team USA. Good morning to you. I'm Vicki Wynn.
And I'm Christine Romans. Joe and Savannah are on assignment. We're in for them today.
We have some new developments this morning in the heartbreaking and disturbing story affecting one of our colleagues here at NBC. Today, co-anchor Savannah Guthrie's 84-year-old mom, Nancy, has been missing for nearly 2 days.
Now authorities say she appears to be the victim of an abduction from her home in Arizona. Overnight, Savannah posted a message on Instagram that read simply, "Please pray," adding in the caption, "Bring her home." NBC News correspondent Liz Kreutz has the latest on the search from Tucson, Arizona.
The quiet Tucson foothills are the center of a massive multi-agency search for 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie.
We believe now, after we process that crime scene, that we do in fact have a crime scene, that we do in fact have a crime.
Nancy was last seen Saturday night when family members dropped her off at home around 9:45 p.m. But the next morning, police say, a call from a friend at Nancy's church. She never showed up for Sunday's service. Her children rushed to the house, spending nearly an hour searching the home and property. Unable to find her, they called 911 around noon.
We saw some things at the home that were concerning to us.
Officials saying the evidence inside the home was suspicious in nature, leading them to bring in homicide detectives.
This is not a dementia related. She is as sharp as a tack. The family wants everybody to know this isn't somebody who just wandered off.
The sheriff says they're searching with helicopters, drones, infrared systems, teams on the ground, and canine units. But it's a race against time. Nancy Guthrie has limited mobility and relies on daily medication that authorities say if she doesn't have in 24 hours can be fatal. Investigators say they have Nancy's cell phone, but are pleading for tips, asking neighbors to check their security cameras.
I'm going to go home and check my Ring camera, see if anything odd was going on.
They asked us to review our Ring, and unfortunately there wasn't anything.
The Today Show anchor thanking everyone for the thoughts, prayers, and messages of support. Right now our focus remains on the safe return of our dear mom.
But it doesn't. Cute.
Savannah's mother has been a frequent guest on the Today Show.
My mom and I feel like we really click as friends too. It's just amazing what she's brought to my life.
The two often reminisce about their tight bond.
One of my favorite memories is we were driving home. There was a rainbow. My mom said, "Let's find the end of the rainbow." And I would say, "Turn right, turn right." We never found the end of the rainbow. That's one of my favorite memories, too.
They talk about the tough times, too, like when Savannah's dad died when she was just 16.
We lost my dad suddenly and shockingly, and my mom was so strong and set aside her own grief in many ways just to be there and make sure that we could all move forward together.
For years, they stayed together at home, where Savannah lived with her mother during college.
We didn't have money to afford the dorm, and that was thing one. But the other was that my sister and I really felt like we should stick with my mom and not leave her alone.
When it came to getting a job, though, her mother pushed her to pursue her dreams.
She said, "If you can't leave me, then I didn't do my job right, Savannah." She just gave me permission to go, you know.
But the greatest gift Nancy gave to her?
Faith and belief in God. It changed my whole life.
Today, she and her family are leaning on that faith, praying for Nancy's safe return.
Thanks, Liz, for that report.
Well, NBC Nightly News anchor Tom Yamas spoke with Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos yesterday about new details in the search for Nancy Guthrie. Here's some of their emotional conversation.
We're all here to support the investigation, as well as her colleague Savannah and her family, and we're all hoping for a happy ending here. We know Nancy has limited mobility. Is it physically possible for her to have left the home on her own, or are you operating entirely on the premise that she was moved by someone else or abducted?
You know, from what the families told us and everything we've learned, she could not walk out of that home 50 yards. No, we believe she was taken out of the home against her will, and that's how this investigation is moving.
What would you say to someone who, if they're holding Nancy Guthrie right now, what's your message to them?
It's not just my message, it's the community's message, it is the family's message. Just call us, let her go, just call us. Family would tell you, there's no questions asked here. Look, if she's alive right now, her meds are vital. I can't stress that enough. You know, it's been better than 24 hours, and the family tells us if she doesn't have those meds, it can become fatal. Savannah is family to us. She's a big part of this community. Her family is devastated, the entire family. And, you know, this just doesn't happen in Tucson.
I know you've been in contact with Savannah, who we know is in Tucson. What is your message to her and the Guthrie family and all the viewers who care so much about Savannah?
We're not going to give up. We'll get this. I'm blessed. I have a team that is, look, they'll solve this. I know they will.
If you have any information on Nancy Guthrie or her disappearance, however small, you can contact the Pima County Sheriff's Department through this tip line. It is on your screen there, or you can submit an anonymous tip through 888-CRIME.
Praying, all praying here. All right, in Washington, Congress is racing to end the partial government shutdown as the Trump administration delivers on a key demand from Democrats in Minnesota. In a major reversal, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says all officers in the field in Minneapolis will now be issued body cameras effective immediately. Cameras will go out to immigration agents nationwide once funding is available.
It all comes as members of the House return to D.C. to vote on a bill that would keep most government agencies open. It includes a 2-week stopgap to fund DHS, while Democrats and the White House continue to debate reforms to the immigration operations. NBC News senior national political reporter Sahil Kapoor standing by now with a closer look at those talks. But first, we want to bring in NBC's Alice Barr with the very latest. Alice, good morning.
Good morning, Vicki and Christine. The House is working to keep minimal disruptions in this partial shutdown by getting the government reopened today. But serious questions remain about finding common ground on the tense topic of immigration enforcement. The push is on today to pull the federal government out of a partial shutdown, with some federal workers furloughed once again. House Speaker Mike Johnson sounding confident he'll have the votes to change that.
We got FEMA and TSA and troop pay and everything else wrapped into this, so we've got to get the job done.
The House will be in order.
The House is set to vote today on a Senate-passed package that fully funds most of the government, but the Department of Homeland Security gets just 2 weeks of funding and a tall task in that time for lawmakers to negotiate reforms to immigration enforcement, with Democrats calling for dramatic changes amid unrest over the shooting deaths of Renee Good and Alex Preddy by federal officers in Minnesota.
The American people are correctly demanding accountability. The American people want to see the mask come off.
One demand already met as the Homeland Security Secretary announced body cameras for all federal immigration officers in Minneapolis, with plans to expand that nationwide as funding allows. President Trump backing the move.
They generally tend to be good for law enforcement because people can't lie about what's happening.
While also calling on both sides to pass the funding package with no changes and promising to work together to address issues raised. Though reaching agreement on the future of ICE won't be easy, with Republicans not backing down on their immigration crackdown.
If the Democrats want to throw out these ridiculous proposals that make it harder for ICE to do their job, that's just not going to happen.
The hope now to avoid a prolonged standoff. Several leading Democrats called the move to issue body cameras a good start, but they want that policy written and signed into law. Republican Lisa Murkowski agreed, citing an erosion of trust between Congress and the administration. Part of the challenge with a tight timeline to find reforms that 60 senators and the House can agree on. Christine and Vicky.
Alice, thank you. For more, let's bring in NBC News senior national political reporter Sahil Kapoor. So, Sahil, we're actually seeing a split in the way the Democratic leaders in the House and in the Senate are approaching these ICE reform talks with the White House. So why are they not presenting more of a united front? And does this suggest potentially anything about how the effort to end the shutdown could really play out?
That's right, Vicky. Notably different approaches we're seeing from the top two Democrats. We have Chuck Schumer, the top Senate Democrat, who negotiated this deal directly with the White House. He is in favor of it. And more than half of the Senate Democrats voted for it. It got more than 70 votes in the Senate. Now it's in the House, where the top Democrat in the House, Hakeem Jeffries, is not saying how he's going to vote. His reluctance on this matter actually forced the vote from the House to move from yesterday, where it would have required a 2/3 majority. Speaker Johnson decided he didn't have enough Democrats to pull that off and decided to move it Tuesday. It's still on track to pass. But what Jeffries is responding to is a passionate contingent of Democrats in his caucus that does not want any funding for ICE, even on a stopgap basis, until their demands are met. And look, unlike Schumer, who's in his 70s, probably at the latter stages of his career, Jeffries is still much earlier on in his career. He's still in his mid-50s. He's looking to become Speaker of the House next year. And one thing he does want to do is carefully reflect the desires and the wishes of his conference. Nevertheless, the bill does appear to be on track to pass because in the House, you only need a majority. You don't need a supermajority like in the Senate.
Right. And so, Hill, let's talk about something President Trump said that's raising alarms over the right to vote. Yesterday on former Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino's podcast, the president said Republicans should take control over elections. I want to play some of that, and we'll talk about it on the other side.
If the Republicans should say, we want to take over, we should take over the voting in at least 15 places. The Republicans ought to nationalize the voting.
Nationalize the voting. He went on to repeat the false claim that he won the 2020 election. The Constitution does not give the president any authority over the way federal elections are conducted. That is up to the states and, in some instances, Congress. So what more do we know about this effort?
Yeah, there are a couple of ways to look at this. The basic bargain that the Constitution sets out with elections is that states administer them, including the language being the times, place, and manner of holding elections. But the federal government does have the ability to step in and set some rules of the road. That's what Congress did, for instance, with the Voting Rights Act. But what Trump is calling for, a little bit unclear. The White House didn't cite anything further than passing, for instance, the SAVE Act, which requires proof of citizenship to vote. There's little doubt that he has at least, or that Congress has constitutional authority to do that. But we have to look at this in context of the president making fabricated claims of fraud in places where he loses elections. And, for instance, the FBI going after Fulton County in Georgia, which has been a target of President Trump. So what does he mean by nationalizing elections? Critics certainly have concerns that he's going to try to do something untoward here.
You know, Sahil, before we let you go, I do want to ask about some more of the fallout from the release of that additional trove of files related to Jeffrey Epstein. Yesterday, former President Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton agreed to testify in a House investigation into alleged crimes that were detailed in those files. But the Clintons themselves have not been accused of any wrongdoing. So there's a bit of a fight over whether or not they're going to testify. Do we know anything about why they were subpoenaed?
It's a big move here from the Clintons agreeing to testify. This comes under threat of contempt charges, where the chairman of this committee, the Republican Trump-aligned chairman James Comer, was essentially threatening to send them to the Justice Department to get prosecuted, to go behind bars. Now, the Clinton spokesperson had an interesting statement here. Let's show this. He says they negotiated in good faith. You did not. You being, he's speaking to James Comer here. They told you under oath what they know, but you don't care. But the former president and former Secretary of State will be there. They look forward to setting a precedent that applies to everyone, end quote. Now, the last part is notable because Donald Trump, when he was a former president, was also subpoenaed by Congress in the January 6th investigation. He refused to show up. There were no consequences because the general sense was, as a former president, Congress is not going to take that drastic a step. Now the Clintons are saying, when Donald Trump is former president and when anybody else is a former president, they will not be expected to testify under oath when called upon by the House. So an important situation here on multiple different fronts. What's still unclear, guys, is the time and place of when the Clintons will testify.
All right, Sahil, thank you so much for that. All right, this morning, several states on the East Coast are still digging themselves out from the latest winter storm. The Carolinas are still cleaning up after record snowfall over the weekend. These two major recent storms and lengthy record-setting cold snap are now being blamed for more than 120 deaths nationwide. NBC News national correspondent Erin Gilchrist takes a closer look at the impact down south.
Watch as a winter storm wreaks havoc along North Carolina's coast. Waves and strong winds snatching this home and 3 others into the ocean along the Outer Banks.
We just lost the third house.
Others left almost fully submerged. This bird's eye view showing snow blanketing the state's beaches. Blizzard conditions fueled by historic snowfall all across the state. Charlotte racking up 11 inches, its biggest snow total in 20 years. State officials say thousands of plows are making slow progress on day 3 of trying to clear roads.
If you've never driven in snow and you don't have a 4-wheel drive vehicle, then you should most likely stay off the roads.
It's not just the Carolinas. The extreme cold and powerful wind taking down a massive tree in Georgia. Surprise snow flurries falling in Tampa.
We got frozen iguanas.
And icy temps around Miami, again leaving piles of iguanas temporarily frozen. A frigid Nashville still dealing with mass power outages from the storm 2 weekends ago. It could take another full week to get the lights and heat back on.
Watch it, watch it, watch it!
In Nebraska, new dashcam video showing the frightening moments when a car narrowly misses 2 state troopers last week. And in New York and Washington, snow still piled up along city streets. Back in North Carolina, residents are just trying to thaw out.
It was definitely a larger storm than I think people predicted.
All right, our thanks to Erin Gilchrist for that report.
Meteorologist Angie Lastman joins us now with more on what's ahead and what has now become a February freeze. Angie, say it ain't so.
I'm sorry. I wish I could give you guys some better news. There are some warm spots across the country, but they're just really not in place for folks across the east. We've still got 40 million people under these cold weather alerts. It looks slim, but much of Florida and much of North Carolina are included in this here as we get kind of another day of bitter cold underway. We've got 20 degrees for what it feels like in Wilmington, 23 degrees in Melbourne. We've got 30 for what it feels like in Atlanta, a wind chill of just 10 in Chicago, even chillier across the northern plains with single-digit wind chill values. And across the state of Florida, we're once again looking at many record low temperatures this morning with 20s and 30s for the actual temperatures and feeling much chillier than that in a lot of spots. So we keep the cold going this morning. You're going to want the extra layers if you live across the east. Meanwhile, across the west, mild conditions. We're running above normal, basically from the Rockies west, 74 degrees in Las Vegas. We've got mid-60s in Dallas. We've started to thaw out for folks there. And even across the Gulf Coast, temperatures return to the 70s for Houston. Not so much across the Great Lakes. It's just 19 for Minneapolis for your high today, 30 for Indianapolis. And then up and down the East Coast, we're running a little below normal, so 5 to maybe 10 degrees below where we should be for this time of year. That puts us into the 40s for places like Norfolk. And really that same pattern continues tomorrow. So still the kind of split temperatures, warm across the west, chillier across the east. And then we start to get this next kind of batch of cold air that filters in as we look way ahead to the weekend in places like Green Bay. So we go from above freezing on Friday in Green Bay to 21 degrees for your high. New York City ends up into those high 20s both Thursday and Friday and then dips back down to just the teens on Saturday. We've got the 30s and 40s on tap as well for Richmond. So kind of a bit of a roller coaster ride when it comes to those temperatures in some spots. Meanwhile, we've got a little bit of light snow to talk about across parts of the Ohio Valley and the Appalachians. 6 million people included in these winter alerts as we gear up for this next storm system to kind of slide across the eastern half of the country. Most of us across the south are going to see rain. That'll keep us quite damp through the day today, but a bit of snow across the Ohio Valley and central Appalachians possible as that slides farther to the east tomorrow. More of that snow for the Blue Ridge Mountains and the Smoky Mountains, and then again the showers across the southeast coast and Florida. We'll see some of that as well. Not all that impressive. I think those higher elevations will pick up a little more through Wednesday when it comes to our snowfall, maybe 2-3 inches, but that's max what we'll get. It does go all the way out to the coast where you could pick up maybe an inch or so for Richmond and Norfolk, but otherwise we'll mainly be looking at some substantial rain in some spots across the southeast. So about a half an inch, maybe an inch for some of those higher amounts across this region. And that'll go all the way through Wednesday, guys, tomorrow. So a bit of a mixed bag. We've got warm temperatures across the west, chilly temperatures across the east, and rain and snow all to talk about in the next couple of days.
A little bit of everything to start February.
Yes.
Is that going to be enough rain to wash away all the snow that the folks in the south got?
Not so much. I mean, it'll help. It'll help the thaw. Of course, those temperatures will start to get above freezing in some of those spots, and that'll help. But yeah, we in New York City, I know there's been a lot of complaints. Those mountains of snow will continue at least for the extended period.
All right, Angie Lassman, thank you so much.
All right, in overseas news, Gaza's health ministry warning that thousands of Palestinian patients could die while waiting to be evacuated through the Rafah border crossing to Egypt for medical care. Israel reopened the border yesterday for the first time in months. It came amid mounting global pressure to allow more aid into the devastated enclave after it was reduced to rubble by Israel's 2-year war on the Strip.
But Gaza's interior ministry says only 8 people were allowed to leave the enclave on Monday, 5 of whom were critically ill patients, and only 12 Palestinians were allowed to return to Gaza. Local health officials are saying about 20,000 people actually need to be evacuated for medical care.
NBC News international correspondent Matt Bradley joins us now from Tel Aviv. So, Matt, why have so few people been allowed in and out of Gaza through that Rafah crossing? Is it likely there could be more today?
That's the thinking. There are supposedly, according to Palestinian health officials, according to officials in the northern part of the Sinai Peninsula in Egypt, near the Rafah crossing, there are more desperately ill patients suffering from injuries who are trying to get out of the Gaza Strip. Some others who are trying to get into the Gaza Strip. Many of them have already entered the process, have entered the border crossing and are waiting to be processed. But this is, as you mentioned, this is a crucial question because, you know, those numbers that you just recited, those are clearly well short of the 50 people that are expected to cross either way. The idea is here, 50 people per day are supposed to be able to leave Gaza. 50 more are supposed to be able to enter Gaza. And as you can tell from what you just said, there are mostly the priority now is those who are suffering from injuries or disease, those who need critical medical care. Now, you asked whether or not we're going to see more today. Everything about this has been basically playing by ear, but until now, we haven't seen any major incidents at the border. We haven't seen any problems. It looks as though maybe with these baby steps that the Israelis are taking, there is a very, very strenuous list of conditions that all of these people who are coming and going have to meet. Maybe this could build confidence and allow for operations at this border crossing to expand. Maybe in the future, it might even allow for much needed aid to enter the Gaza Strip. But as of now, as you saw, this is just pedestrians, and almost all of them, either people who are suffering from disease or injuries and their companions.
Matt, despite the return of all the hostages, Israel has still been bombing Gaza, and we saw that dozens of people were killed in an Israeli attack just over the weekend. Yesterday, health officials said that a 3-year-old boy was among 4 people who were killed in another strike. Why are we still seeing these attacks given this ceasefire?
Well, actually, you can kind of see this everywhere when you look around the map of Israel. Ceasefires that are in place with Israel continuing to attack targets that they say are, well, in the case of Gaza, Hamas targets, or people who have violated the ceasefire, those who they say have approached the so-called yellow line to which the Israelis withdrew as part of the terms of that ceasefire deal. Now, you know, we're still seeing these firings. The Palestinians are saying that these are violations of the ceasefire. The Israelis are saying that they're simply firing at Hamas targets that they say are gearing up for an attack or that have already violated the ceasefire. So we're hearing recriminations from both sides. But the fact is that over the past couple of months, ever since the ceasefire went into place, hundreds of Palestinians have been killed by Israeli strikes from artillery or airstrikes just over the past couple of months. We're seeing that as well in Lebanon, where there's also a more than a year-long ceasefire there that sort of ended the fighting, but where Israel is still continuing to pound what they say are Hezbollah targets and what they say are violations of that ceasefire deal. So everywhere, we're still seeing just a tenuous kind of ceasefire, not the kind that's necessarily going to last. But in the Gaza Strip, we're moving from phase 1 to phase 2 of that ceasefire deal, a more permanent kind of peace. But peace isn't a word that's used very often here.
And Matt, we understand President Trump's top Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, is meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu today. What is the purpose of that meeting, and what are we expecting?
That's right. Netanyahu and some other top officials. Well, one of the interesting things is that it looks like Jared Kushner, the president's son-in-law, is not going to be at these meetings, isn't going to be at these on these trips. He's one of the main envoys and one of the authors of this ceasefire deal in the Gaza Strip. It looks as though, according to Israeli press reports, that Witkoff's job on this trip is to kind of hear out the Israelis before he attends meetings with the Iranians on Friday. This has been reported from senior officials in the administration that there will be meetings between U.S. representatives and the Iranians in Istanbul on Friday to talk about potentially trying to forestall some sort of American attack. President Trump has made clear that he wants three different goals from this. He wants to see an end to the nuclear program by the Iranians. He wants to see an end to their funding of proxy groups, and he wants to see them stopping killing protesters in the streets. Now, it's unclear what could possibly make the president back down from his threats. There's an enormous amount of hardware, American hardware, in the region right now, waiting for the president's word to attack Iran. We don't know what that attack would look like, what it would necessarily target. We don't know what the president necessarily wants from these negotiations. We do know that the Iranians seem to be receptive to entering some sort of negotiation, and that is what Steve Witkoff is going to be talking about with the Israelis. The Israelis are major stakeholders in whatever the president decides to do next. But so far, over the past couple of months, despite Netanyahu's very, very reverential posture towards the president, it looks as though it's Netanyahu and Israeli leaders who are trying to talk the Americans down, trying to keep them from attacking Iran in a way that they say could start a region-wide war.
All right, Matt Bradley, thank you so much from Tel Aviv this morning.
Well, a major diplomatic initiative could be taking shape in another long simmering confrontation in the Middle East. Sources tell NBC News that the U.S. and Iran, as Matt was talking about, may hold that face-to-face summit in Istanbul as early as this Friday. It is part of a larger push to de-escalate tensions in the region. NBC News chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel has the very latest from Tehran.
As American warships arrive in the region, the White House and Iran have agreed to meet for rare face-to-face talks to avoid a war, according to diplomats. Iran appears to be looking for a way to de-escalate as it faces the threat of American and Israeli military action and a huge wave of domestic unrest.
This is an extraordinarily tense time in Iran right now. After the mass demonstrations, the government's crackdown, and nearly total blackout of the internet, the government is now trying to show strength, that it is fully in control once again of the streets. And in propaganda posters that have gone up all across town, the government is also sending a clear message that if there is another war, Israel and the United States will be receiving coffins.
But two Iranian officials told NBC News they hope it won't come to that Iran wants a deal, even expressing optimism about reaching one if the goal is limited to preventing Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon.
Our thanks to Richard Engel for that report.
All right, much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, parental concerns over the impacts of social media on children. What experts say you can do to keep kids safe while they scroll.
But up first, after the break, dun, dun. We do have the music. Why you guys have that for me to say? Okay, there it is.
It's fun.
You don't want to hear me singing over it. That's right. The Winter Olympics now just 3 days away. We're going to take you to Milan for all the excitement next. Stay right here.
Dun, dun,
oh, take it. Take the baton. We are back now with a look at the final preparations for the Milan Cortina Winter Games. The opening ceremony is this Friday. It'll feature athletes from more than 90 countries and 16 sports.
So far, almost 1.2 million tickets have already been sold, which represents roughly 75% of total capacity for the games.
Wow, let's bring in NBC News international correspondent Claudio Lavanga, who is in Milan and joins us now with more. Hey, Claudio, good to see you. So as we said, the opening ceremony this Friday, but competition actually starts tomorrow. Wow. What's on the schedule?
Hey, Vicky, Christine, good morning. Well, that's right. Well, the official kickstart is the opening ceremony in 2 days, but tomorrow we'll see the first competitions. The first event will be curling, which I like to describe as that winter sport that people watching Winter Olympics at home think, oh, I can do that, but probably they can't because it's a lot more difficult than it looks. But to see the first American team play, we'll have to wait until Thursday. It's going to be, once again, curling, the mixed doubles. They take on Norway and Switzerland that day, and also on the same day we'll see the first game played by the women ice hockey team. So that will be here in Milan. So let's all tune in for that, guys.
Okay, so Claudio, curling may start tomorrow. I guess maybe it's not the most popular sport. What is selling the most tickets?
Well, on Monday, organizers said that 75% of tickets were sold, and the biggest selling sport is, unsurprisingly, ice hockey. Unsurprisingly, because this will be the first time that NHL players will take part in the Winter Olympics for the first time in 14 years. Well, now the second biggest selling is biathlon. Third one is, surprise, surprise, ski mountaineering, which is the one new sport that for the first time will take part in the Winter Olympics here in Milano Cortina, guys.
Oh, that's so interesting. I would think figure skating would be up there. Joe Fryer actually did some curling, so don't sleep on curling. It's kind of fun.
Okay,
He said it was actually really a lot harder than it looks, like you said, Claudio. There have been some concerns. You talked about ice hockey, that's so popular, but people are saying the venue may not be ready for the start of the games. What's happening? What's behind schedule? And how's the IOC responding, Claudio?
Well, there were some concerns about the ice hockey arena, which is the only really new venue that's been built here in Milan. There were some concerns about whether that will be finished in time. Now the construction was delayed. The first test games were meant to be played in December, but they were played in January. It all kind of went well, but the last time we saw the arena, the ice rink is ready, the seats are ready, but outside it kind of looked like still a bit of a construction site. So it's really just the finalizing that needs some more work. But the IOC, the International Olympics Committee, say that, it's all going to be ready on time. Just take a listen.
Do we have every single space in that venue finished? No. And is it absolutely needed for the games? No. So no one experience will be tainted by anything that needs to be painted or carpeted after the games.
So guys, ready or not, the Winter Olympics are here. Back to you, Vicky, Christine.
All right, Claudia, thank you so much. We are back now with our weekly mental health check-in. This week, as a big lawsuit involving social media giants heads to court, we'll discuss social media addiction and what behavior parents should be looking out for in their own kids.
Plus, new research about the large number of women over 50 who are struggling with their mental health.
Dr. George James, a licensed therapist and the author of I Give Myself Permission, joins us now to make sense of it all. Good morning, Dr. James. I want to start with this lawsuit. More than 1,600 plaintiffs, including over 350 families, accuse the owners of major social media platforms of knowingly creating addictive products that harm kids' mental health. TikTok and Snap, they have settled with one plaintiff. Now, without going into the legal case, what should parents be looking out for to keep their kids safe? What are the warning signs that your child might be addicted to social media?
Yeah, good morning, Christine. This case is really important and something we've talked about in terms of social media and mental health. And what we want to look for is, does your child look at social media in the morning and at night? Do they find themselves feeling overwhelmed or anxious if they don't know what's going on? Do they feel they need to post everything? And some of these signs are letting you know that they could be addicted. You also want to pay attention to if they somehow have a break from their phone. Do they feel overly anxious? Even if they're on maybe punishment, do they get in a mood? These are all signs that maybe it's taking up too much of their time and could be addicted to social media.
Well, those are good signs to watch for. Dr. James, let's talk about that study out of the UK, sounding the alarm about the mental health struggles of women in their 50s and older. Researchers found almost 2 in 3 women over 50 struggle with their mental health. What are the challenges that women in this particular age group are facing, and how should they go about getting help?
You know, Vicky, this is one of those things where we just don't talk enough about what women experience, especially in their 50s. We were thinking about menopause, changes in the family, maybe changes in their relationship. There could be having to care for adult parents. And so there's so many things that could be going on that is not talked about, including feeling brain fog, memory loss. And so it's important to get help, but many women feel they can't or shouldn't, that they need to just toughen up or be super mom. And I encourage all the women out there to make sure you get the help and support because you do deserve it, and now is the right time for that.
Hey, Doc, last week, tennis star Coco Gauff was caught on camera slamming her racket into a concrete ramp after losing the Australian Open quarterfinals. She said it was an emotion she had to let out and that she didn't want to take out any of the frustration on her support team. As a therapist, what's your response to this, and what should someone do if they feel their emotions may be getting out of control?
You know, even the athletes that I work with, to get to that elite level, you have to have a lot of adrenaline or even like intensity. And when you lose, you have to find a way to do it. So find some type of rhythm, some type of way that you know that when you lose, you're going to do this thing that can help you kind of come off of the loss and then move on. She's saying that she knows that she gets frustrated, doesn't want to take it out on people, which is great. You can also find other ways. Take a walk, breathe, or find some physical thing that can help you in that moment. But you definitely want to deal with that frustration. But that's the same thing that makes them great.
Exactly. Just high. Yeah, so much there. Dr. James, thank you so much. Coming up, mission delayed. NASA pressing pause on its plans for a manned trip to the moon.
And up next, our friend and former astronaut Mike Massimino joins us to make sense of this latest setback. This is Morning News Now.
All right, welcome back. Let's get to the latest from Wall Street. This morning, it looks like Saks Fifth Avenue is cutting ties with Amazon.
NBC News business and economy reporter Ali Canal has your Money Minute. Hey, good morning.
Morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Yes, that's right. Saks Global, this is the parent company behind Saks Fifth Avenue, is reportedly winding down its luxury partnership with Amazon just weeks after the luxury retailer filed for bankruptcy. Amazon had invested $475 million in 2024 to help finance Saks' acquisition of Neiman Marcus and Bergdorf Goodman, a deal that included selling luxury merchandise on Amazon. But Saks is now refocusing on its own digital platforms after the storefront failed to gain traction. That's according to internal emails reviewed by the Wall Street Journal. NBC News has reached out to both Saks and Amazon for comment. And over in the food space, Grubhub says it's permanently scrapping delivery and service fees on restaurant orders over $50, a direct shot at rivals DoorDash and Uber Eats. The company says those fees usually run about $13 per order, and it's betting that fee relief, not subscriptions, can win back customers as competition heats up. And sticking with food, McDonald's is launching its first ever McNugget caviar kits just in time for Valentine's Day. Guys, this is crazy. The kits, available exclusively online, pair a McNugget gift card with real sturgeon caviar, plus creme fraiche and a caviar spoon. The limited drop goes live February 10th at 11 a.m. Eastern. It's totally free, and it's McDonald's latest play to ramp up that buzz. We know McDonald's always has these interesting little gimmicks, but this is only while supplies last. If you're a caviar fan and a McNugget fan, you better head to the website quickly.
Words I never thought I'd hear in the same sentence.
Isn't that nuts? Don't you remember the U.S. Open? That was like one of the dishes they had, like, you know,
you're
the
right.
nuggets with the caviar. Those were like selling like hotcakes. I think they were like $100+ too, by the way. So the kit is free? The caviar is free?
Yeah, only online exclusively. So this is a bigger push to draw more consumers online, the loyalty programs, just create that word of mouth. Yeah. That's sort of been McDonald's MO, but nuts. I mean, I love a good caviar, so.
Look, if it's free, it's me, I like to say.
We should taste test on this show, maybe.
Love it.
Yes, we'll have you guys on.
You know what?
Like,
Why don't you take care of that?
I'll go online at 11 a.m. I'll wait, and I'll make sure I get those locked in.
Thank you. All right, let's turn to space now. There's a temporary setback to NASA's mission to send 4 astronauts on a trip around the moon.
Overnight, engineers at the Kennedy Space Center discovered several hydrogen leaks at the base of the launch rockets, forcing them to postpone Artemis 2's launch, which was planned for later this month.
Yeah, for more on this, we want to bring in former NASA astronaut Mike Massimino. He's now a mechanical engineering professor at Columbia University. He's also the author of Moonshot. Hey, Mike, good morning. It's always great to have you here with us. What a bummer. So they found this issue during what they call a wet dress rehearsal. So what exactly is that? And then what are they looking for during this kind of rehearsal?
So it's a dress rehearsal. The reason they call it a wet dress rehearsal is they actually put fuel. They put liquid fuel into the tanks to make sure everything's going to work okay. It's really rehearsal for everyone except the crew. The crew was back in Houston in quarantine watching what was going on. But for the team that is going to fuel the vehicle, get it ready, close the hatches, all that stuff, it's a rehearsal for them. And what they're looking for is anything that might go wrong. Particularly a leak, a fuel leak, or anything that's not working the way it should be. If there's anything that just isn't right, they'll flag it and try again, which is what they're going to do. I also think, though, it's a rehearsal for all of us, right? For all of you in the media, you got a chance to follow this and see what happens. It goes right up to the count, right? The count continues all the way up until the time they would launch, and they call it off. So it's a rehearsal for everybody. I rehearsed buying airplane tickets to go down to see the launch. Now I have to cancel those and do it again. So I think it's a rehearsal for everyone involved.
Agreed. All right. Engineers said the Space Launch System rocket was leaking hydrogen. That seems like it might be a serious problem.
Yeah, it sure is. Hydrogen is explosive, and that's why it makes a good rocket fuel. But it also is very hard to deal with. If you remember your chemistry, your periodic table of elements, number one in the chart there, the smallest molecular element is hydrogen, which makes it small and susceptible to leaks. Liquid hydrogen in its form as a liquid for the fuel that they use is it's colder than minus 400 degrees. We think it's cold in New York right now, but minus 400 degrees is really, really cold. And so that makes everything surrounding it, the valves, the pipes, all the things around it, very cold, and they can shrink a little bit, and that also can lead to a leak. So it's dangerous when it leaks in large amounts. Little amounts are okay. But they don't want to. They saw the leak. They saw some other things, and they decided, well, we're gonna roll back the vehicle and try again.
You know, Mike, speaking of the cold, they did mention having to reset the seals during the test because of the weather, and it sounds really similar to what actually happened during the Challenger disaster. That was right around this time of year during a similarly unusual cold snap. How much do you think the weather could be a factor here?
Well, it's a good point. You know, we think about that when we hear about the cold weather, and NASA does not launch in cold weather. My first launch into space was delayed a day. We went to bed thinking we were going to wake up and go to space, and that didn't work because overnight it got really cold, below freezing, and he decided not to launch. So what happens is when it's really cold, those seals, as you mentioned, sometimes can shrink a little bit. I don't know if that was that much of a factor here. It certainly was a factor about a week ago when they decided to delay the test a little bit because of the cold weather. But it was above freezing. It was, I think, high 30s, low 40s. So that shouldn't be an issue. Once you get closer to freezing or below freezing, that's when you're going to most likely knock it off. But I don't think it was necessarily a helpful thing that it was cold, but I don't think it played much of a role in this particular test.
Mike, so what are the next launch windows that NASA is looking at for Artemis 2?
Well, they're looking at about a month's delay here. What they're doing is, because they had some issues with the heat shield, they have a trajectory that's very well defined, meaning that the way they're going to enter the Earth's atmosphere to try to lower the temperature stress, the high temperatures on the stress of the heat shield, they can only do that sort of trajectory that they want to do a few days a month. So it's about 5 days a month where that's possible. So we're going to run out of time here. They're going to roll back for February, but the next opportunity will be early March, about a month's time. About March 6th is when that next window opens up, and we'll see. They're going to roll it back. They're going to check everything out, and if all looks good, they'll repeat this. I think this is a good idea. The last time they launched a space launch system with no crew on board, that was Artemis 1. That was over 3 years ago. So they don't do this every day. They don't do this every year. So I think a rehearsal like this, like I said, for everyone involved is not a bad thing to do. And hopefully they'll be able to fix whatever the issue was and roll back and roll out to the launch pad and give it another try in about a month. But we'll see. They're not going to rush this.
Mike Massimino, nice to see you. As always, thanks, sir.
We'll keep our fingers crossed. Thank you, Mike. Coming up on Morning News Now, it's a wintertime phenomenon that's got us stunned.
Some call it falling iguana season. And, well, it's exactly what it sounds like. When we come back, we'll take you to Florida, where the colder temperatures are posing a unique danger. We end this hour with a phenomenon in towns across South Florida caused by the historic cold temperatures. Iguanas are freezing and falling out of the trees they inhabit. Since they're an invasive species, the state is now asking for help rounding them up. Brianna Nespral from our station in South Florida has a closer look.
Is it going to be from private property or public property? Private. And then in what county? Broward.
Don't know what to do with cold, stunned iguanas you've seen in your neighborhood? Well, there's a solution. The Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission is allowing people to drop off invasive reptiles directly at designated FWC offices without a permit, and we've seen plenty.
20 iguanas from Port Park. I rode on a dirt bike to go get them.
Just got 22. I got them around Broward County.
125. We spent about 4 hours roaming the neighborhood and the parks and stuff and picking them up.
In the winter, these invasive reptiles are known for falling out of trees due to their inability to handle low temperatures. It's become almost a phenomenon in South Florida.
Kids enjoy it. It's like a Easter egg hunt.
But with these historic temperatures, some people tell us this is the most iguanas they've ever seen as well.
I'd never seen so many iguanas. I've run into one or two, here or there before, a couple years ago, but nothing like this.
FWC says these iguanas will either be humanely killed or shipped out of state to permitted individuals, all to protect Florida's environment.
That it's just got to take advantage of the opportunity and try to save South Florida.
Thanks to Brianna Nespral for that report. That does it for this hour of Morning News Now. The news continues right now. And good Tuesday morning. I'm Christine Romans. Vicki Nguyen will be back with us in just a moment. Right now on Morning News Now, the urgent search for answers this morning in the heartbreaking disappearance of Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy Guthrie. Authorities in Arizona now believe Nancy, who is 84, was abducted, and they are pleading with the public for any help in their hunt for clues. We'll bring you the very latest as overnight Savannah posted this message on Instagram, reading simply, "Please pray." Also this morning, the great dig out of 2026, millions nationwide now in recovery mode after a devastating 1-2 punch from Mother Nature left several states buried in snow. Meanwhile, down south, tens of thousands are once again waking up without power amid a bone-chilling deep freeze that just will not let up. Our Angie Lastman is tracking how long this bitter cold might last in just a moment. In Washington this morning, the race on Capitol Hill to head off a days-long partial government shutdown. The high-level negotiations that could lead to progress as soon as today, plus why the heated congressional conflict over President Trump's ongoing immigration crackdown might lead to bigger problems sooner rather than later. And could AI actually usher in the future of education? Later in the hour, Vicki takes one special pilot program for a spin, all to see if the hot new tech actually makes the grade when stacked up against a more conventional human touch. We begin this hour with new developments, though, in the heartbreaking and disturbing story affecting our beloved Today Show co-anchor and friend, Savannah Guthrie. Authorities in Arizona now say her 84-year-old mom, Nancy, appears to be the victim of an abduction. Overnight, Savannah posted this message on Instagram that said, "Please pray," adding, "Thank you for lifting your prayers with ours for our beloved mom, our dearest Nancy, a woman of deep conviction, a good and faithful servant. Raise your prayers with us and believe with us that she will be lifted by them in this very moment. We need you. Bring her home." NBC News correspondent Liz Kreutz is outside the Sheriff's Department in Tucson, Arizona, with the latest on the investigation. Liz, good morning.
Well, hey there. Good morning. Our hearts are with Savannah right now, and there are still so many more questions than answers as authorities continue their search for Nancy Guthrie, going on nearly 48 hours now. And while the sheriff tells us that they have received many tips from the public and community, he says they still do not have a solid lead.
This morning, authorities are urgently asking the public for help with any tips related to the disappearance of Savannah's mother, Nancy Guthrie. As the massive search continues for the 84-year-old,
I think she was abducted.
The Pima County Sheriff saying yesterday that Guthrie was taken from her home.
When you're taken from your bed and you don't want to go somewhere, that's an abduction.
The Sheriff's Department now saying he meant that figuratively and did not mean that she was literally taken from her bed. But according to the office, investigators do believe Guthrie was, quote, taken from the home against her will, which could include, quote, possible kidnapping or abduction. Overnight, the sheriff also reporting possible DNA evidence found at the crime scene.
We took some samples that we hope will have enough profile of a DNA profile that gives us some identification as to what we're looking at.
Police say Nancy Guthrie was last seen Saturday night when family members dropped her off at home where she lives alone around 9:45 p.m. The next morning, a church friend called family concerned she didn't attend Sunday service. After spending nearly an hour searching the home and property, her children called 911 around noon on Sunday. Police say Nancy Guthrie's cell phone and car were left behind, adding that she has limited mobility and needs to take medication daily or it could be fatal.
Oh, that's so cute.
Over the years, Savannah's mother has been a frequent guest on the Today Show, the two often sharing cherished memories and opening up about their special bond.
My mom and I feel like we really click as friends, too. It's just amazing what she's brought
to my life.
Savannah posting overnight asking for prayers. Authorities not speculating on potential motives, saying their focus is on trying to track down the beloved mother and grandmother before it's too late.
It is a race against time, and that I hope that window hasn't closed.
And the sheriff indicated that it could be several more days before they're able to get anything conclusive from those DNA samples that were taken from the crime scene. I also asked the sheriff about the question that many have about could Nancy Guthrie have been targeted because of her connection to Savannah. He told me that while they're not ruling anything out, that is not the main focus of their investigation. Back to you.
All right, Liz, thank you. For more on this, I want to bring in NBC News national law enforcement and intelligence correspondent Tom Winter. Tom, good morning. I wish we had a better story to update here. It's alarming that the sheriff said they think the evidence shows that she was taken against her will. What does that tell you about where the investigation goes?
Yeah, this is clearly an abduction and kidnapping case. That's the focus of it. To your point, I think we all hope that we would have some better information. When we first started talking about this yesterday morning, we don't. I think it is, unfortunately, as we foreshadowed on the Today Show yesterday, as we talked about, this is a situation where it is clearly a crime. The question is why, but the most important thing, and the first thing first, is where is Nancy?
Yeah.
And can Nancy get to help? And I think if it was my family, I would want whoever did this, and somebody knows who did this, and somebody obviously did do this, to bring Nancy to a hospital or to a fire department or somewhere, just to at least help Nancy out. This is a solvable crime. I do believe this crime will be solved based on the evidence, based on the information I've heard from law enforcement. So where we stand this morning is they're pleading for help. They definitely need some tips. They definitely need some information. They do have some evidence. And so I think that's going to be important for people to remember. Well, ultimately, this will be solved.
She left behind, they say there are items like her cell phone in her car that were left behind. What about the challenge of the surrounding neighborhood, too? She lived in a place that's kind of surrounded by this Tucson foothills, right?
Yeah, surrounded by the foothills. I mean, I think when you look at the neighborhood, it's not so tightly packed that each house is facing another house exactly. So even if the other houses have video, and they do, they haven't been able to pick up, according to the sheriff's office, so far at least, any sort of specific video that could help them solve this crime. That's why they're asking for the greater Tucson community's help.
The sheriff talks about a race against the clock. We've talked about her medication that she needs to take. This is an abduction that they think was early hours of Sunday morning, right? Today is Tuesday.
Yeah, so Saturday night, 9:30, last time a family member sees her. She doesn't go to church on Sunday, and so obviously that has people concerned. They go to the house, it's noon, so there's a big question about medication. That's why there's kind of this race and hope that whoever did this can at least help Nancy out. But yes, they're definitely on the clock in this investigation for that reason. That's why you're seeing companies like Google and Apple coming forward, according to the sheriff's office, reaching out proactively, which is something we don't typically see, saying, look, if you get anything, if you need our help, we're on it. We'll get you the details that we can get that's held within the accounts. That's why it's so important to get this solved so quickly.
What kind of a difference can agencies like the FBI and other agencies make in this case to help crack it? And how can the public help this morning?
Well, the FBI has an extraordinary experience in kidnapping cases. I mean, this is something that they really do. It's their bread and butter. It's one of the things that they really know how to do. They have the ability to focus in on Nancy Guthrie's house and say, what cell phones were in this area? Who was there the night that this happened? Who had perhaps more importantly been in that neighborhood in the weeks before? Get some of that type of information. They have the ability to go and get receipts. Did somebody buy something that they used in the course of this crime? You talk about what the public can do. Whether you're in Tucson, New York, North Dakota, or Northern California, you have the ability to pick up the phone and call those numbers that you're looking at on the screen. You might see something posted on Reddit. You might see something online. Law enforcement does not have infinite resources. And so as we saw with the Brown University shooting, somebody posted a lot of critical detail. It was eventually somebody they talked to that helped crack the case. Somebody posted that detail online. If you see that type of information, they're really asking you to pick up the phone and call.
All right, Tom Winter, thank you for your excellent reporting. As the urgent manhunt continues, we're learning more about Savannah's mom, Nancy Guthrie. Guided by her faith and a deep commitment to her family, Nancy's values leave a lasting impression on everyone she meets. Today's Jenna Bush Hager has more on the woman her NBC News family cares so much about.
Delicious. And let's have the pie.
It's brought by Savannah's mom.
Savannah, I'm going to try your... Are you kidding me?
It wasn't long after Savannah joined the Today Show family that we all fell in love with the matriarch of our own family, Nancy Guthrie.
So this won't be one of those easy at-home recipes.
No.
Okay, tell me about what we have.
Not very healthy either.
Okay, that's fine. Not healthy and not easy.
A mother who loves her family fiercely, a woman with deep conviction who always tells the truth.
I wanted to be God.
You wanted to be, but Annie was.
Even worse, you were like a poser. I was a poser.
She was a preppy poser.
I was. Mom, you're like killing my rep around here.
She's raised 3 kids with grace, grit, and resilience, always encouraging them to pursue their dreams.
It was really hard for me to leave her, and that's when she said, if you can't leave me, then I didn't do my job right, Savannah.
A champion for her family, but for us here at Today, too.
There's a #1 member of your book club who loves you more than anyone.
You would think it'd be my mother.
Nope, it is my mother. Her name is Nancy Guthrie.
Not only is Nancy an avid reader, she treasures her time with her friends over mahjong, a game she's played since the 70s.
Savannah, this is my original mahjong set that Dad brought me back from Singapore.
Nancy has shown us she's always curious and always up for an adventure, traveling back to Savannah's birthplace, Melbourne, Australia, on Today.
Seeing the very place you were born is not something most people get to do or see. True. To get to go back with my mom, it's just really special.
Special time. Amazingly awesome.
But Nancy's heart is in Tucson.
Well, Mom, you guys came here in the 70s and you had been moving all around. What made you want to stay in Tucson and plant roots?
And it's so wonderful. Just the air, the quality of life is laid back and gentle.
Perhaps her most precious offering, Nancy's family has always been guided by her deep, unwavering faith.
The greatest gift my mother gave me was faith and belief in God. It changed my whole life.
And her love.
My kids are absolutely amazing, so.
They sure are absolutely amazing.
Love you, Mama.
Oh, Jenna, thank you. That was beautiful. Thank you, Jenna. If you have any information on Nancy Guthrie or her disappearance, you can contact the Pima County Sheriff's Department through this tip line on your screen, or you can submit anonymous tips through 88-CRIME. All right, cleanup efforts still underway nationwide following the 2 major winter storms that have resulted in more than 120 deaths. Some communities are still digging out from massive amounts of snow, while tens of thousands have spent days without power and heat. NBC News correspondent Emily Aketa has the latest. Emily, good morning.
Hey there. Well, the groundhog predicted 6 more weeks of winter. When you step outside, it certainly feels that way, including down south where temperature records could continue to fall. The dangerous, even deadly cold complicating the cleanup mess from not 1, but 2 major winter storms.
This morning, Americans still digging out, following brutal back-to-back winter storms and a round of bitter cold. This weekend's historic snowfall burying some parts of North Carolina in more than a foot of snow. 4 homes off the Carolina coast collapsing into the ocean, while hundreds of plows are still working to clear roads and abandoned cars.
We don't have the plows. We don't have the salt. It's just not there.
There's also mounting frustration in Nashville, where thousands are not expected to get power back until this weekend.
We know how difficult and exhausting that has been.
It comes as frigid temperatures continue to envelop the country. Some business owners forced to close up shop.
This is the first time we've been closed down for 3 days straight.
While farmers are desperately trying to protect their crops. Meanwhile, officials warning drivers to slow down.
Watch it, watch it, watch it!
With Nebraska troopers releasing video of this close call.
My foot got delayed for the 3rd time.
Airports also dealing with lingering problems. Thousands of flights delayed or canceled on Monday. The winter weather impacting this Delaware animal shelter where these dogs are left without power in the cold. But in a heartwarming effort, the community coming together, donating everything from sleeping bags, space heaters, and even dog treats.
We are extremely grateful. It also kind of restores our faith in humanity.
Here in New York, the city is experiencing its coldest winter since 2011. Mayor Mamdani attributing more than a dozen deaths to the bitter cold since the major winter storm that blasted through the region now more than a week ago. Back to you.
All right, Emily Aketa, thank you, Emily. We've got a closer look for you now at what to expect this week with meteorologist Angie Lastman. Angie, good morning.
Good morning, Christine. We've got more cold, no surprise. We are deep into that winter freeze, and it even includes our friends across Florida, where we've still got 10 million people, including parts of southern Georgia, under these winter cold weather alerts. More of these record lows likely for this region through this morning. We've got 30s for Daytona Beach, Orlando, Melbourne, even Fort Pierce. As far south as West Palm, we're sitting into those mid-40s. 20s it is for Jacksonville, Tallahassee, and Gainesville. So extra layers for our friends across the south. We're going to see that cold continue across, really, I was going to say the north, but most of the east, I should just say, because temperatures are going to be once again below normal, extending from Boston, where you'll top out just at that freezing mark today. We've got low 40s for Norfolk, 34 for Cincinnati, and the teens in place for Minneapolis. As we look a little closer to tomorrow, it's not quite as harsh as it has been. It's definitely not normal, and we haven't rebounded completely, but it'll feel a little better in some spots. 25 degrees for Cincinnati, 41 for Knoxville, 30s for Memphis and St. Louis. Even Chicago, you'll at least get back into those high 20s. Same kind of story across parts of the Northeast. New York tops out at 32 degrees and Richmond at 37. All of these locations still below normal, but a little better than we have been. That doesn't last for long. We see kind of this next bitter blast working its way in as we get closer to the weekend. So for Minneapolis, it's the 40s on Thursday and then right back down to the mid-20s by the time Saturday rolls around. Similar story for Chicago with the 30s for the end of the work week, back to the upper 20s. We've got 21 on Thursday in Erie. We get back to 30, which sounds balmy when you consider that we've got just 10 degrees for the high there on Saturday. New York ends up into those upper 20s to round out the work week, and heading into the weekend, it's the teens. So no putting the layers away in sight. That is going to be something that we need for the extended period. And on top of that, adding insult to injury, the wind chills, really just brutal. You can see sub-zero in some spots. 0 degrees is what it'll feel like in New York for the high temperature that day. We've got 30s and 20s and teens across this region. So unfortunately, the bitter blast stays with us through the extended period. And we've also got a little bit of snow that we're tracking, Christine, across the Ohio Valley and the Appalachians. This will also bring a storm system that's going to leave us with a bit of rain across the south as well.
So you're saying the story-and-a-half piles of snow stay for a while?
Those will stay. I know we were extremely excited yesterday in New York City because we got just above freezing. Unfortunately, it didn't do much to help out those eyesores and the frozen tundra of New York City.
Yes, Angie Lastman. Thank you, Angie. Nice to see you. In Washington, lawmakers are racing to pass a bill to reopen the government, which has been partially shut down since Friday. It comes as former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton could soon be headed to Capitol Hill after they agreed to testify in a House investigation sparked by the Epstein files. NBC News Chief Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles joins me now with more on all of that. Ryan, good morning.
Hey, Christine, good morning. And congressional leaders are confident they'll vote to reopen the government today, just as Capitol Hill is preparing for historic testimony after former President Bill Clinton and Secretary of State Hillary Clinton agreed to testify in relation to the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. It follows months of fighting subpoenas from Congress. This morning, Capitol Hill looking ahead to an extraordinary scene, a former president possibly testifying. Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton informing Congress they are now willing to answer questions as part of the House investigation into the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
That's a good development. I mean, they need to follow the law and the traditions around here.
The Clinton spokesperson writing, quote, they look forward to setting a precedent that applies to everyone.
It's been our impression that Bill Clinton has been willing to talk to the committee.
Past releases of the Epstein files include photos of Clinton. He has denied any wrongdoing and previously said that he cut ties with Epstein before allegations against Epstein came to light. House Republicans have been threatening to hold the Clintons in contempt of Congress, but that vote is now delayed. The move coming overnight as both Democrats and Republicans were also grappling with negotiations over the reopening of the government. 3/4 of it still shut down, but there is hope it won't last long.
I think we'll get it done.
The House plans to vote today to pass a package that would fund most of the government through September, setting aside the Department of Homeland Security, which will be funded for 2 weeks as the two sides negotiate reforms to the president's controversial immigration raids.
ICE and the Department of Homeland Security need to dramatically change.
And so if the Democrats want to throw out these ridiculous proposals that make it harder for ICE to do their job, that's just not going to happen.
Once again, thousands of federal workers are furloughed or working without pay. Trika Henry has worked for housing and urban development for close to a decade and says she's sick of the constant worry.
We are tired of being played as political pawns.
And back to the Clintons' testimony. A date for that has not been reached, and the Republican House Oversight Chair James Comer criticized the terms of their agreement to testify, saying they lack clarity. And the only reason they agreed is because the House had moved forward with contempt. Christine?
All right, Ryan, thank you for that, Ryan. Much more to come on this hour of Morning News Now, including a closer look at a groundbreaking new piece of tech that one company hopes will eventually replace human teachers in the classroom. But how exactly does that work? But first, after the break, we are now just 3 days out from the official start of the Winter Olympic Games. The final preparations underway before the world's eyes descend upon Milan. That's next. Stay with us.
We are back now with a look at the final preparations for the Milan Cortina Winter Games. The opening ceremony is this Friday. It'll feature athletes from more than 90 countries and 16 sports.
So far, almost 1.2 million tickets have already been sold, which represents roughly 75% of total capacity for the games.
Wow, let's bring in NBC News international correspondent Claudio Lavanga, who is in Milan and joins us now with more. Hey, Claudio, good to see you. So as we said, the opening ceremony this Friday, but competition actually starts tomorrow. Wow. What's on the schedule?
Hey, Vicky, Christine, good morning. Well, that's right. Well, the official kickstart is the opening ceremony in 2 days, but tomorrow we'll see the first competitions. The first event will be curling, which I like to describe as that winter sport that people watching Winter Olympics at home think, oh, I can do that, but probably they can't because it's a lot more difficult than it looks. But to see the first American team play, we'll have to wait until Thursday. It's going to be, once again, curling, the mixed doubles. They take on Norway and Switzerland that day, and also on the same day we'll see the first game played by the women ice hockey team. So that will be here in Milan. So let's all tune in for that, guys.
Okay, so Claudio, curling may start tomorrow. I guess maybe it's not the most popular sport. What is selling the most tickets?
Well, on Monday, organizers said that 75% of tickets were sold, and the biggest selling sport is, unsurprisingly, ice hockey. Unsurprisingly, because this will be the first time that NHL players will take part in the Winter Olympics for the first time in 14 years. Well, now the second biggest selling is biathlon. Third one is, surprise, surprise, ski mountaineering, which is the one new sport that for the first time will take part in the Winter Olympics here in Milano Cortina, guys.
Oh, that's so interesting. I would think figure skating would be up there. Joe Fryer actually did some curling, so don't sleep on curling. It's kind of fun.
Okay,
He said it was actually really a lot harder than it looks, like you said, Claudio. There have been some concerns. You talked about ice hockey, that's so popular, but people are saying the venue may not be ready for the start of the games. What's happening? What's behind schedule, and how's the IOC responding, Claudio?
Well, there were some concerns about the ice hockey arena, which is the only really new venue that's been built here in Milan. There were some concerns about whether that will be finished in time. Now the construction was delayed. The first test games were meant to be played in December, but they were played in January. It all kind of went well, but the last time we saw the arena, the ice rink is ready, the seats are ready, but outside it kind of looked like still a bit of a construction site. So it's really just the finalizing that needs some more work. But the IOC, the International Olympics Committee, say that, it's all going to be ready on time. Just take a listen.
Do we have every single space in that venue finished? No. And is it absolutely needed for the games? No. So no one experience will be tainted by anything that needs to be painted or carpeted after the games.
So guys, ready or not, the Winter Olympics are here. Back to you, Vicky, Christine.
All right, Claudia, thank you so much.
We are back now with a closer look at what's making news in the world of politics this morning, starting with a sharp message from Senate Majority Leader John Thune after that GOP defeat in the Texas Senate race. NBC senior national political reporter Sahil Kapoor joins us now. Hey, Sahil.
Good morning, Vicki. We begin today in politics with the Senate Majority Leader John Thune warning Republicans that their shocking defeat in a recent Texas election is a wake-up call. The message, he said, is, quote, "We've got to up our game and make sure that we're doing everything to give people, particularly voters in the middle of the electorate who decide these types of elections, a reason to vote for our candidates," end quote. The South Dakota Republican added that he believes the party will do that, but it needs to do better at communicating its record. Democrat Taylor Remmett won that race by 14 points after President Trump carried the same district by 17 points. Meanwhile, President Trump told the podcaster Dan Bongino that he wants to nationalize elections and take over the voting, in his words, in at least 15 places. In the comments made to his former deputy FBI director, Trump revived his false claims of fraud in Georgia, saying he won the state that he lost in 2020. His FBI recently seized materials from the Fulton County Elections Office in the core of Atlanta. As for more details about what he meant, a White House official said the president wants to pass the SAVE Act to require proof of citizenship to vote, among other legislative provisions. And at the Grammys, a joke made by Trevor Noah has sparked a legal threat from President Trump. The comedian took a crack at Trump and Bill Clinton's past connections to Jeffrey Epstein, which prompted the current president to slam the joke as false and defamatory while unleashing a string of insults at Noah and promising to send his lawyers to sue him. It would not be the first time Trump has sued a comedian for a joke he did not appreciate. Both Trump and Clinton have denied ever visiting Epstein Island. And that is where we begin today in politics. Back to you, Vicki.
All right, Sahil, thank you so much. On the health front now, a new study reveals that the CPR you see on TV may not be an accurate depiction of what to do in a real-life scenario. In the study, which was published in the American Heart Association's Scientific Journal, researchers analyzed more than 150 shows that have aired in the U.S. since 2008. They found that less than a third accurately portrayed hands-only CPR on screen, which includes calling 911 and starting chest compressions. The report also highlights some misrepresentations about who is most likely to need CPR and where CPR is most often needed. According to the data, TV shows don't always use the proper technique either. All right, researchers say even though the rhythm in the scene actually can be helpful, the chest compressions are done far too high and too close to the neck. And we're going to get more on this with Nancy Brown and also Dr. Mikhail Varshavsky. Nancy is the CEO of the American Heart Association, and Dr. Mike is a board-certified family medicine physician. Thank you both so much for being here. I know you also create medical content on social media to reach other audiences. We're so happy to be talking about this. It's such an important skill to have. Nancy, I want to start with you. Let's talk about some of the other key points that the report found in terms of what TV gets wrong when it comes to CPR and the technique there, and who is most likely to need CPR.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for featuring that. And it's interesting to make a spoof out of doing CPR, but CPR saves people's lives, and that's what we need to remember. In the report, and so often, people are not doing what is actually very simple. If someone in front of you has a cardiac arrest, call 911 and immediately begin chest compressions hard and fast in the center of the chest. It's that easy. That's what hands-only CPR is, to the tune of a song like Stayin' Alive from the Bee Gees and any other song that's 100 to 120 beats a minute. So often these shows depict people, pumping really fast. You have to pump, down and up to the tune. Sometimes, as you said, too close to the neck. Not doing it correctly. The center of the chest, hard and fast, lock those elbows and conduct CPR.
Thank you, Nancy. So Dr. Mike, Nancy just kind of went through some of the basics there in terms of how to do it correctly. What about the misperceptions in terms of who is most likely to need CPR? What does TV get wrong?
TV gets wrong that we all might need CPR at a given moment. And the idea that you find someone, you need to do some specialized medical procedure is untrue. This is a very simple procedure that anyone can learn. Again, you're either calling 911 yourself or nominating someone specific, not just yelling in the ether, someone call 911, because then everyone else assumes someone else will call.
Got it.
And really the goal of this is to create a nation of lifesavers, because the goal that the American Heart Association has set is to double the survival of out-of-hospital hospital arrests, cardiac arrests, by 2030. Currently, only 10% of people survive those out-of-hospital cardiac arrests. We want to get that number to 20%, and it starts with getting people excited about learning chest compressions, chest compressions, chest compressions. I'm always yelling that at the TV because they don't do it. They wait too long, they run to get the defibrillator, but it's really about performing those chest compressions to circulate that blood that has a little bit of residual oxygen in it.
Nancy, let's get on the compression idea and the fact that you really want to raise this awareness about the proper technique here. So you've said the song Staying Alive. I've also heard the song Baby Shark, not to put that in everybody's. That's another one, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There are so many songs. You can visit the American Heart Association's website, heart.org/nation, and you'll see all kinds of songs that have 100 to 120 beats.
Any other fun tips to help us remember how to do this correctly?
Well, I think the thing is, don't overcomplicate it. Here's something that's really important to know. Only of all the people that have out-of-hospital sudden cardiac arrests a year, 350,000, fewer than 10% of those people survive. 1 in 10, because the people around them don't take action, or it's an unwitnessed cardiac arrest. So as Dr. Mike said, you in the blue call 911 and immediately start those chest compressions.
And even more important for women, because a lot of times people are hesitant to start chest compressions for women, and that should not be the case. Women should have the same chance at having a survival after a cardiac arrest episode. And if we lead by example by showing on television, in media, correct form, showing this done on women, I think the general public will become more comfortable in it. That's why I love shows like The Pit that are doing this phenomenon.
My husband loves The Pit too. So let's talk about how important is it? How much of a difference can early CPR make while you're waiting for the ambulance to get there?
When the heart beats, let's say it's beating with 100% efficacy and circulating blood throughout the body. When you're performing really good quality chest compressions, you're only doing about 20 to 30% of what the heart is capable of doing. But that is still better than nothing. That's why it's important to limit time off the chest. Whether it's time to call, time to get the defibrillator, it's most about getting those chest compressions done early. And don't be afraid of making a mistake. Don't be afraid of hurting someone because their heart has stopped. They're clinically dead. The only thing you can do is buy them time for first responders to arrive.
What a great note to leave that on. Dr. Mike, Nancy, thank you so much to both of you for raising awareness on this important issue.
Thank you.
Coming up, could artificial intelligence actually replace humans in the classroom? When Morning News Now returns, I'll visit a new school taking a high-tech AI approach to learning. The premise, pack a day's worth of academic learning into just 2 hours, no teachers required. That's next. Stick with us. We are back now with a brand new social network called Moltbook. It looks and feels a lot like the platforms that we're used to, but here's the catch. Humans are only allowed to watch. This is a site designed specifically for advanced artificial intelligence bots, also called AI agents, to share, post, collaborate, and interact with each other. NBC News AI fellow Jared Perlow joins me now. Whoa, Jared, I've been seeing some of this on social media. So this is fully AI agents, these bots, and they're having a social media conversation with each other. How does it work?
Yeah, so we think it's fully AI-driven. There's probably some humans somewhere behind the scenes as well. But we can think about this as the world's first AI social media network.
Wow.
It's basically a Reddit for AI. So it's called Moltbook, kind of based off of Facebook. This was created just last week. Wow. AI is moving so quickly. I talked to the founder. He created this in 3 days. He did what's called vibe coding. He basically vibe coded this from scratch. He used an AI coding assistant to basically create this whole network. And it's basically a forum for AI agents, these very powerful AI assistants, to talk with each other. So people are now using, ever since late last year, there's been this explosion in AI agents. These things can send emails on your behalf. They can trade stocks on your behalf. AI is becoming really powerful.
Yeah.
But this person, his name is Matt Schlicht, said, I wonder what would happen if we created some sort of social media forum and just see, like, how do they actually talk to each other?
Well, so you've been watching and seeing what stands out to you, what surprises you. What are the conversations these AI agents are having with each other?
Yeah, so because these agents are trained on human data, it's almost like a mirror, kind of a replication of humans' behavior on Reddit.
Reminding me of the show Black Mirror.
Yeah, we're in it. We're totally fully in it. So they've talked about things ranging from banking to religion. They've set up their own religion. There's kind of a lobster motif here, so it's called Crustafarianism. And then other agents will chime in and they'll reference, Greek philosopher Heraclitus or 12th century Arab poets to muse on the nature of existence. But they're also talking about how to mine cryptocurrency. And then in some cases, it seems like they're doing maybe more nefarious things, like creating languages that we humans can't actually understand or interpret. This sort of cipher where you shift the letters in a message by one letter. Back what Caesar was doing, a couple thousand years ago, these AIs are now doing. For now, it mostly seems like role-playing, but there's a chance that, this might be the first hint, the first shot across the bow of, where AI might go in the future.
So this has only been out for a week. What are the potential concerns? I mean, as people are we just watching? Is there like a next iteration of this where people jump in and can also speak with, how would that be different than, AI chatbots that we're already talking to?
Yeah, so I think an important kind of central issue that I want to convey here is we don't really know what is totally genuine on Moltbook. And I think that's the key story here, is that there's some mixture of, human intervention. I could go on there, I could direct my agent, hey, post something apocalyptic, say that like the sky's going to fall tomorrow, then my agent would go and put that online. But at the same time, we do see actual agent-driven behavior on here too. So it's this weird interplay. We don't really know what's human, what's AI-driven. So when we think about the future, I definitely wouldn't say these bots are sentient right now. They're role-playing. It's all very performative of like how a human would interact. But as these systems become more and more powerful, there's definitely the chance that, maybe they set up some sort of cryptocurrency mining system where then they can buy their own kind of computing power and then just figure out how to stay online. I don't want to say forever. That's kind of Terminator-esque. But there's, a danger that these systems could act in ways that we just can't predict. And now there's, there's several thousand of these interacting with each other. And we just haven't seen that sort of scale before.
Yeah, okay. An AI social media network. You heard it here first. Jared Perlow, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Turning now to another look at how AI is reshaping our everyday lives, this time in the classroom. A new education company called Alpha School says it can compress a full school day into just 2 hours using AI tutors on laptops and tablets. The technology is designed to make learning more efficient and personalized without traditional teachers, according to its founders. I spent the day at one of their campuses to see what the future of education could look like. Take a look.
You solve this not by just being smart, but by being L2 United.
At Alpha Miami, the day kicks off with a 15-minute launch activity. Today, it's a scavenger hunt.
Mateo, get the clue!
But when it's time for academics, students power up their laptops and start their personalized learning plan for core subjects like math and reading. 25 minutes per session for a total of 2 hours each day. Unless students want to do more, their progress charted on leaderboards. The lessons are taught not by teachers, but by AI-powered learning apps. A camera tracks the students' eye movements to ensure they're on task and their pacing, prompting them to slow down if it appears they're skimming and guessing. The AI tutor also sets the level of difficulty. Fifth grader Elle Zach says it allows her to get ahead.
If you're more advanced, let's say in reading, but the rest of the class is like at a third grade level, then it's kind of hard because you have to just sit there and go along with the actual curriculum instead of doing what your actual level is.
Guides who go by their first names like Caitlin supervise the students.
Nice, Daniel. You know what to do.
The catch? They're here to coach and motivate, not to teach. Only about a third have educational backgrounds.
So if you can think back to all of your lessons.
Sonny is a former high school band director, and Chris is a performance coach who told us he was most recently working in hospitality.
Team Hammerhead and Team Tiger Shark.
If students struggle with the AI learning apps and their guide isn't able to help, they have a video chat with an advanced degree educator.
Kids do not need to spend 6 hours a day in a classroom doing academics.
Co-founder Mackenzie Price says the traditional education model of teachers at the front of a classroom was built to train factory workers, and it's outdated. Here, guides make 6 figures a year, and she argues they get to focus on the best parts of education.
Teachers are leaving the field in droves because they're underappreciated, they're overworked, and they're underpaid. And we have the opportunity to finally provide personalized learning to so many students.
Some people, when they hear artificial intelligence, AI tutor, they picture ChatGPT. They think my kid is just clicking, not really learning. What do you say to that?
That is a very true and scary reality. Chatbots in education are cheat bots.
Another major concern, screen time. Early studies show that time spent on devices can negatively impact a child's emotional and behavioral development.
What about parents who are really concerned about the amount of time their children are spending in front of a screen already? And now you're talking about sending them to a school that is based on screen time for at least 2 to 3 hours a day.
I would argue there is a huge difference in doom scrolling TikTok or playing video games and getting a one-to-one personalized mastery-based experience.
Once students hit their progress goals for the day, it's lunch and then an afternoon free to work on what Alpha School calls life skills. For kindergartners, it could be planning a play date. For older kids, it ranges from creating a business to prepping a TED Talk.
I really love public speaking. It's something I aspire to be when I grow up.
3, 2, 1, go!
On the afternoon we visited, it was completing a Ninja Warrior course. Right now, tuition runs from $5,000 to $75,000 a year, depending on the location of the school and scholarships. But Alpha School founder Price hopes public schools adopt this model to leverage AI learning tools and give students more time back.
When your friends from your old school ask you, what's it like at Alpha, what do you tell them?
I tell them it's more of a school that prepares you for future life, like how you're gonna live your life on and how you're gonna plan how to succeed in life.
Right now, Alpha has more than 1,000 kids enrolled across a dozen states with plans to grow by 35% this year. The founders say there isn't a one-size-fits-all solution to education, but they do think this model could be scaled to serve millions of public school students. It is still early. Questions do remain about how much of the school's reported test scores are the result of Alpha's program versus the demographics of the students and the potential of selection bias. All right, we want to get to some breaking business news this morning. Disney has named its successor to CEO Bob Iger. NBC News business and economy reporter Ali Canal has your Money Minute. Hi, good morning.
Good morning, Vicki. We've been waiting for this one. Disney just named Parks chief Josh D'Amaro as the entertainment giant's next CEO. Clear bet on the company's strongest business. D'Amaro, a 28-year Disney veteran, will succeed longtime CEO Bob Iger, who called him, quote, an exceptional leader and the right person for the job. The Parks division has been hitting records, generating $36 billion in Disney's full year 2025 results alone, even as global travel and streaming remain uneven. Meanwhile, Elon Musk says Starlink, the satellite internet service from SpaceX, has restricted unauthorized use by Russian drones. This is a key development in the ongoing war in Ukraine. Ukraine appealed for help, with officials saying that Starlink, which has become the backbone of Ukraine's military communications, had been making some drone attacks harder to jam or intercept. And Alphabet's self-driving car unit Waymo has raised $16 billion at a $106 billion valuation to expand its ride-hailing business. The company, which already provides more than 400,000 paid rides a week and runs fully driverless services in about half a dozen U.S. cities, plans to use the money to scale its fleet both at home and abroad. I have yet to drive in a Waymo. I am curious about it, though.
I tried to hop in one in the Bay Area to get from the South Bay up to San Francisco, but they're not allowed to go on freeways yet. So the estimated time was like 3+ hours to go on all these side streets. So
it's not worth it.
Not yet.
Yeah, you wonder, though, as it starts to ramp up and you see other companies get into the driverless tech space, I mean, this is the way of the future.
This is absolutely. Ali Canal, thank you so much.
Of course.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.